Hey, what's up? It's Nico. So today I would like to introduce a new feature which is called automation. And automation is available from your menu over here. You find it over here, or if you have pinned it already to your shortcut bar, like you can do with all these features, then you will find it over here. Alright, so this is automation and it looks like this. But let's go over this step by step. So it says automation, new automation. New automation is the name of my current automation, which is the one over here. Of course, I can now create a new one and then I will have a list of all my automations over here. For example, click new and then you say one-click blog post, for example, because that's what we are creating here, at least the start. So let's create this. All right, now I have my one-click blog post automation. I can switch between my automations over here. I can rename an automation over here, give it a name. Test, for example, save it, and now I have two different automations. They look identical because I haven't created anything inside it. Just so you know, you can have multiple automations. Alright, the next button here says share automation, so whenever I create an automation, I can share it with the community and they can load it from the public library, which is available over here. And of course, I can delete an automation. So if I open my test automation and I'm going to click delete, you're about to delete this automation. Yeah, pretty straightforward, right? All right, so this was the easy part. Now comes the challenging part, but also the most powerful part. And I'm going to walk you through this process slowly and step by step. And if you hang on, I promise this will solve a lot of your prompting problems that you currently face. All right, so each box, a box like this, represents a task. So we can have multiple tasks. For example, the simple default task is run a prompt. And that's what we're focusing on right now. I can create another box like this. And now I have two tasks that will run one after the other. And the key to understand here is I can write a prompt here and then take the result of this box and use the result inside my prompt of the next box. So I can chain my prompts and results together. Now this may sound a little confusing, but I'm going to show you a real simple example now. So let me delete this box for the sake of demonstration and write a prompt. I write a prompt that goes like, you're a marketing genius. Find a headline for the topic, travel London on a budget. Okay, now this is pretty simple. I can now run this prompt and output this result to a variable and a canvas. The canvas is the area over here, so my writing area. I can format this. I format this as an H1 headline. And before I explain what is exactly happening here, let's just run this prompt. All right, so we now received a headline for the topic travel London on a budget, right? If I run it again. All right, so maybe because we have some quotes here, we could alter the prompt and say, don't use quotes. Run it again. And now you see we are getting a new headline again and again and again. Okay, that's pretty simple. But now we want to add a new box and say, this headline here is not only written on the canvas, but it's also stored in this variable over here. And I can rename it. I can say, for example, this is my headline variable. And then I can go to this box, click here to copy it, and use this headline variable. For example, this is my headline. Use the headline variable over here. Write an introduction, paragraph, but not more than 100 words, for example. All right, so what happens here in the background is, it executes this block, writes the result into this variable, then replaces this variable with the actual result, with the actual headline, and this happens in the background. And then it executes this block and it writes the introduction to the variable over here, which I can rename, of course, as well. Introduction, and also on the canvas. So let me delete this and run it again. All right, so as you can see now, CopySpace now wrote the headline and it wrote an introduction. And the cool thing here now is I only have to replace this with a new topic and can run the entire automation again without ever touching the following blocks again. And basically I can build myself a one-click blog post writer, just similar to any one-click blog post writer you already use. It's also similar to AutoWriter, for example, if you've been using it before. AutoWriter under the hood, this is how these tools work, right? They run a prompt, then they store the result and feed the result into the next prompt, and so on and so on. And now with CopySpace, you can do exactly that. So let's move on. We can create another box over here. Okay, now we have the introduction. Maybe we want to have the first H2 headline. And just for the sake of this demo, I'm using extremely simple prompts. You can go crazy with these prompts and use your own, of course. So for example, with AutoWriter, sometimes I receive the feedback, hey, it's too generic for my piece of content. I want a different writing style, and so on and so on. I get this. You can now do all this with automation because you can use your own custom prompts and chain them together, right? Okay, so I want to introduce a new task. And the task here, we are not running a prompt now. We can use a static content. And I'm going to move this all the way up over here. And static content, what it does is it just copies my context, so whatever I write in this box, into my variable that I can then use in the other boxes. Let me give an example. I can say store this content over here inside the topic variable, and then I can replace this over here, put this over here, my topic, and then just enter the topic variable over here. Now this maybe looks a little bit confusing, but just to be clear, I can now, whatever I type here will be copied into this place. And then whatever results from this prompt execution will be copied over here, and then this will be executed. So I'm chaining this together. And once I've fully developed my automation, I only need to ever change this block over here, the static content over here, with a new topic, for example. So let me give you an example. Let's just execute this and see what it does. Okay, so it writes my headline and it writes the introduction, right? Sweet. Okay, it works. My automation is working. But it also wrote this over here on the canvas, right? We don't want this on the canvas. We only want this as a variable. And that's why you can switch here to variable only. And now you also see that formatting is gone, right? If I switch back, I have formatting options. I can format this as a paragraph, H1 headline, and so on. But since I only want to use this as a variable, I switch to variable only, and I'm good to go. So if I run it again. All right, so there's my headline, and here's my introduction. All right, sweet. Okay, so what I'm saying here is whenever I have fully developed this one-click blog post which I say is my tutorial, then I only have to ever go here again, change the topic. For example, play soccer like Cristiano Ronaldo. Let me delete this over here and run the automation again. And of course, the introduction and everything will not be about London or whatever. It will be related to my headline because we chained this together. I know it's not extremely easy. And for those of you who don't want to write these prompts and you don't want to think about this stuff, we will have a public library where I will be sharing my own automations, and I'm pretty sure a few other members maybe share their automations, and then you just have to be able to use them. You don't have to understand all this cryptic stuff, so to speak, that happens over here. You will just have to go in here, enter your topic, and everything that comes after that, you don't really have to touch it because it's already programmed, so to speak, for you, and you only have to use it. And with these automations, I can not only write my blog posts, I can also have an automation that writes all my newsletter, my abandoned cart sequences, my Facebook ads. So these automations is an entire new level of freedom. It's like what Frameworks was for Closers Copy is automations for CopySpace. It is extremely powerful and will definitely change the way you are approaching AI writing. So if you're still interested in that, let's move on with another task. So I'm scrolling all the way down and I'm just clicking this plus icon. So I have another task. We can also run a prompt, use static content. We can scrape a website or draw an image, which is using ArtSpace, and scrape a website. Let me give you another example. I create a new automation, summarize. I create this automation over here. And let's say I want to scrape a website. And the website I want to scrape is CopySpace.ai. All right. And I want to store it in the variable content or website content or CopySpace content, whatever it is. All right. Then I'm creating a new block. And then I say run a prompt. And the prompt I'm running now is summarize this content for me. And then I'm just copying this variable over here. All right. So let me delete this. Scrape this website. Do we need this website on the canvas, the content? No, we only need a variable. All right, and that's about it. All right, now if I run this automation, it will then first scrape the content from the website CopySpace.ai, place this inside the CopySpace-content variable, and use this variable over here with this prompt, summarize this content for me. So basically, we are getting a summary from any website we're putting here. And of course, let me run this. And of course, you can write a prompt that rewrites this content, or you write, hey, look at this content and write a marketing ad for me that I can run on Facebook, or whatever it is. So you can not only chain prompts together, but you can also scrape content from websites and implement them into your prompt chains, into your, well, automation. All right, so let me switch back to the one-click blog post I just started to create. I will build this out in the following days and share it with you with better prompts, of course. But the next step I would probably do is, so we have now, let's see, we have written the introduction. And maybe we can say something like, look at my introduction over here. Introduction, please write the first meaningful H2 headline. All right. And maybe we can even give more context. Let's say we want to add the topic, or, well, for the sake of this demonstration, I can say something like, this is my overall topic I am writing about. This is topic. And maybe this is my headline. And this is my H1 headline. Now look at my introduction over here. And please write the first meaningful H2 headline. So yeah, basically this box now writes the first H2 headline, and we want to output it in a variable, which is this one over here, number 4. We say, for example, headline H2, and this is the first. And we want to format this as an H2 headline, right? Okay, so this is my next step in my automation. And maybe then I want to use this variable and say, please write the body copy for this headline. And in this prompt example, I'm just using the H2 headline. Okay, and this is H2, no, this is headline H2 body copy. Whatever it is for you. Think about it this way, the more thought you put into your variable names, oh, I made a typo. Oh no, it looks good. The better it is for you to later debug and find errors and all that stuff. This is like programming, really. It's really like programming. So if you master this, you are a programmer, let me tell you this. All right, so we have now, let's check it out. We have a headline, which is our H1 headline. Then we have an introduction paragraph, not more than 100 words. Then we have the first H2 headline formatted as an H2 headline. And then we have the body copy for the H2 headline formatted as a paragraph. Cool. So this is an automation that gets pretty close to a full one-click blog post. Let's run it. Let me quickly check what we're using here. GPT-4 Turbo. Perfect. Let's run it. Right, there's our headline. Now here comes the introduction. And this is the first H2 headline. And this is my H2 body copy. Just like we programmed. So this is my one-click blog post writer And it already wrote around, let's see, 500 words. 600 words almost. All right, now it's finished. It wrote quite a lot for this paragraph. And of course, we can tweak this. We can say, write the body copy for this headline. Please don't write more. Write more than, I don't know, 300 words. Or let me quickly check. How much did it write? It wrote 466. Well, maybe we only want 200 words, right? And we can run this again. And, you know, once again, once you've created this automation, you may think, hey, why do I need to do all this? Once you've created this automation, you only then have to ever go in here, change this topic variable, this topic input, and run the automation, and it will write the blog post in your style of writing, like how you programmed the AI to write it. This is basically your one-click blog post writer, or essentially everything, anything you can imagine, anything you can chain together, and you can build it now in CopySpace. Just as simple as that. All right, so we have now written almost perfect 200 words. So yeah, this AI, especially GPT-4, really listens to my commands. And once again, you can get there with simple prompts like this, or you can write more fancy prompts and get a little bit more fancy output. Yeah, so this is basically my introduction for this automation feature. This is really what sets CopySpace apart. So leave me a comment if you like this, test it out. It's early beta, so expect some hiccups. Shoot me an email if you experience any problems. I'm happy to help, and yeah, let's get started.